I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please take a moment of silence now. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, a public notice of this meeting has been sent to board members, all district schools, the Herald News, the Suburban Trends, the Record, the Messenger, West Milford Town Hall, the County Superintendent's Office, the Board Attorney, Cablevision of Warwick, and West Milford TV 77, and posted in the Administration Building. Copies of the board meeting calendar resolution were provided to all local media, Town Hall, Township Library, and all district schools. Roll call, Mrs. Francisco.
Mrs. Romeo? Here. Mrs. Stevenson? Here. Mr. Conklin?
Here.
Mrs. Dwyer? Here. Mr. Guarino?
Here.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Here.
Ms. Sopchinsky?
Here.
Mr. Stillman?
Here.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
Here. Dr. Annabelle, your report?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our August meeting of the Board of Education. We are going to start off with something off the agenda, but we're going to pass it off to Ms. Abby Weiss, a rising senior at West Milford High School and our 2021-22 student representative. She has her student report.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Abigail Weiss. I'm this year's Student Council President, and I'm so happy to be here. Currently, our fall sports teams are working hard through the heat to return to play this season. Last fall season was far from normal, and I think everyone in all sports are excited to return to play. The cross-country team recently had a very successful clothing drive and is now getting ready for their first scrimmage on September 4th. The football team just held their annual lift-a-thon and are practicing long hours to prepare for a good season and their huge season opener against Lakewood on September 3rd. The field hockey team started their preseason off strong with a 2-0 shutout over Livingston this morning, following an intense week of tryouts. The dance and cheer teams just finished their tryouts and are working on routines for game days in the fall. The girls' tennis team is getting excited for their first scrimmage tomorrow against Clifton. The boys and girls soccer teams are preparing for their first scrimmages against Vernon tomorrow. The girls' volleyball is ready to take on Teaneck in their first scrimmage on Thursday. And finally, our gymnastics team is working hard for their first meet on September 14th. So good luck to all of our fall sports. The Student Council has been working all summer on new projects and events for this year. As you all know, this pandemic has affected a majority of the school's events and activities, especially the ones we rely on for raising money. Last year, the Student Council did everything they possibly can, but our fundraisers suffered tremendously. This year, we are trying to plan things as normal as we can with the money that we have, as well as come up with creative ways to fundraise for these events. For example, we are currently working on the school's annual Spooktacular. This is one of our biggest fundraisers, and we are trying to finalize the same plans that we had for last year. We are planning on holding this event on October 30th. Although we were unable to do this last year, we are trying to plan a haunted drive-thru that will be a safe, fun way to bring some normalcy back to West Milford. Another project we have been working on is our Student Council shed. We have been generously granted the unfinished shed in the backfield of the high school. We plan to finish this shed so we can store our supplies in a safe and organized way. Along with the big events, we are excited to start working on spirit weeks, pep rallies, and homecoming. Our main goal for this year is inclusion, so we are hoping to still hold these fun activities to achieve this goal. Thank you again for allowing me to speak. I am honored to be the student representative for West Milford High School, and I'm super excited to see what this year has in store. Does anyone have any questions?
No, but we welcome you. We're glad you're here.
Thank you, Ms. Weiss, and best wishes for a fun senior year. Okay, next up, we have the 2020-2021 New Jersey PTA Outstanding Educator Award. The New Jersey PTA recognizes the excellent educators in districts who work collaboratively with their PTAs, as well as with parents, students, and the entire community. These Outstanding Educator Awards are open to all PTAs across the state. One teacher is selected every year, and this year, the winner of the 2020-2021 New Jersey PTA Outstanding Educator Award is our very own Chris Rodak, grade 3 teacher at Apshua School. Next up, we have to announce that a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago, the Department of Education announced that there was going to be the creation of a new civics course at the middle school level. Presently, our students learn about civics at the elementary and at the high school levels, but to date, there is no requirement for a civics course at the middle school level. So beginning in September of 2022, there will be. So we'll have a student at Macapin starting next year. They will have to take a civics course once in their middle school experience during the 3 years. We haven't created a curriculum yet or a course study guide or anything. It will most likely be a cycle course, what we call a cycle course, similar to the financial literacy requirement. But that is coming down the pike, so we'll get work on that between now and next September. And lastly, our Safe Return to School update. Along with every other district in the state, we have been working on our Safe Returns to School plan since before students were dismissed in June. Unlike many other districts, we ended the year in June with all or nearly all of our students in school and learning without masks, or with masks optional technically. We announced in June and again in July that masks were optional for all staff and students. Since then, Governor Murphy announced a mask mandate to begin the 2021-22 school year. There are limited exceptions, such as excessive heat, medical notes to this mandate, and these exemptions were shared with the community. I understand many of you are here tonight to speak out against the state mandate. Please understand that the individuals up here empathize and oftentimes agree with what you are saying. In an ideal world, local school districts would be empowered to make decisions that are in the best interest of its stakeholders. These decisions take into consideration the unique identity and culture of each individual school district and each individual community. In short, we know what's best for West Milford. State mandates disregard these factors and instead provide a one-size-fits-all approach to public education. Though we may disagree with these mandates, we are unable to countermand them. That's the bad news. The good news is we are absolutely ready to open all of our schools on Tuesday, September 7th for all of our students, and we're happy to see them in school this year, 5 days a week for full day of instruction. Okay? All right. And lastly, this just came across my desk the other day. As we all know, one of our former principals, Mr. Mike McCormick, passed away this summer. He was a member of our Athletic Hall of Fame Executive Committee, and it's my honor to share this information that I received from the Hall of Fame Executive Committee, that they unanimously approved the following: that from this point forward, the annual male and female scholarships given out by our Hall of Fame will be called the Michael J. McCormick Memorial Scholarship. This is a very fitting way to honor Mike's legacy and his strong conviction to academic excellence, athletic accomplishment, and leadership. Mike had a profound influence on many people in this community, some as a teacher and as an administrative member, others as students. So, thank you, Mr. McCormick, and rest in peace.
And that's it.
That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Hannah, and that is a very fitting tribute to Mike. Mr. Novak, your report?
Thank you. Didn't realize you were going to read that. Would rather not follow that with what I'd like to say. Mike was a very important person for me. I know a lot of the people I've worked with in this room know Mike was a mentor for me. He was my high school vice principal, which was an interesting thing for him to know me, throughout the years. So, I rest in peace, Mike, also. Something very near and dear to his heart is something that I'm going to speak about. And in the last few meetings, I've talked about what we've been able to do with some of the COVID relief grant money that we received throughout the last few months. We ran some additional summer programs. I've spoken a few times at our education committee about the Encore program. Some of the parents in this room might know that we, with some limited staffing last year, our Encore program met some limitations. So moving forward, we've been able to organize some of our grant funding to increase our typical level of Encore support, academic support, in each elementary school, where we've been, typically in our schools, we've had a half-time employee in our schools not receiving title funds. In our schools that are receiving title funds, we've been able to have one full-time staff member. This year, we've been able to increase it by half of a person. So all of our schools will have at least one full-time person for our academic support, and some of our schools will have, one full-time person plus another half-time individual. Dr. Anamone and the Personnel Committee were grateful enough to, and Barbara, to approve the hiring of a full-time building sub heading into this school year. So we're going to utilize these additional staff members to help, diagnose and take a look at, some of those skills that we believe have been, some of the things that we weren't able to accomplish in the environment we were in last year with the hybrid and the, virtual models. So we'll be able to capitalize on this new staff and really get our kids off to a good start. So I just want to give an update on that. I mentioned it in committee. Thought it was a good idea to inform the whole board.
Thank you, Mr.
That's it.
Mrs. Francisco?
Yes, tonight we have the meeting minutes from July 20th for the workshop meeting. We did not have an executive session meeting that night, so we only have the regular meeting.
I need a motion and a second to approve the
I'll
minutes.
move to approve the July 20th, 2021 workshop regular meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, President's report. I just want to say, we're looking forward to welcoming everyone back to the new school year. Each one of us are happy that we're able to start the school year full days every day. And as Dr. Anamone said, as far as the mask mandate, unfortunately, we are where we are. But we are looking forward to getting our kids back in school and having them on a normal schedule for their school life. Going into public comment.
Excuse me, Mrs. Van Dyke, before we start public comment, can you please ask people to give their legal names?
Okay. Sure. This portion of the meeting is open to the members of the public for the purpose of addressing resolutions on this agenda only. Members of the public who have requested to speak prior to the meeting will be recognized by the chair first. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes for a period of 30 minutes. Then, time permitting, other public comment limited to 5 minutes per speaker will be allowed until the 30-minute time period transpires. All members of the public speaking during the public comment period are asked to address topics listed in the agenda. All speakers are asked to sign the register provided and to give their full legal name, spell their last name, group affiliation if appropriate, and provide their address. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and respectful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged. The board and the administration will not respond to them. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded to them by the laws of New Jersey. The board is not responsible and is not liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in the light of legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments. Members of the public are reminded that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Mr. Brown, I think you're going to read the statement.
The board has asked me to make the statement consistent with Dr. Animo's comments earlier and what Ms. Van Dyke just had to say. The board understands that a significant number of people oppose the mask mandate established in Executive Order 251. Your opinions are respected and have certainly been heard. We also recognize that the Township Council recently passed a resolution opposing the mask mandate. Significantly, that resolution does not encourage the board to ignore the mandate. Rather, it expresses its opinion that mask mandates should be made by the parents. The board is also aware that there are parents that support the mandate. Whether board members individually or collectively oppose the mandate, they are obligated to follow the executive order's direction until it is amended or rescinded. The board has no choice. The governor is authorized to issue executive orders as part of his emergency powers. Approval by the courts of the legislature is not required. The extent of the governor's right to issue them is broad, as he is permitted to issue orders to address whatever types of problems that the emergency creates. Executive orders are, for all intents and purposes, laws. They may be enforced by law enforcement agencies. It is unlawful for a government entity to adopt any rule or regulation or to enforce a rule or regulation that does not conform to the executive order. Once issued, the orders are binding on not only government entities, but on every public official and public employee and all persons within the state. The board members are specifically obligated by their code of ethics to follow the law. So in addition to the penalties that could be faced by board members of the district, which include ethics charges that could result in removal from the board and the potential loss of state aid for failing to comply, it also appears that any person that fails to comply with the executive order could also be subject to penalties associated with disorderly person offenses. Finally, although the board as an entity may decide to advocate for mandatory masking or against it via a letter or some other means, it is clear that until the order is modified or rescinded, it must be followed.
Thank you. Mrs. Francisco, people sign your...
Yes, first one is Jessica DeGraff.
Hello.
Your name, address, please.
Okay, it's Jessica Barry DeGraff, and I live on Paradise Road in West Milford. And I have 2 kids in Macoupin. I grew up in West Milford. I've been here 40 years. I came here to talk about why I'm pro-choice for masks, and I had a whole presentation for that, how we have a right to choose for our families. But it sounds like the executive order is the ruling factor here. So on a whim, I have changed my speech or my thought here to you and to the board is we have an executive order here. Now, how is West Milford going to carry this out? Okay, I want to know what kind of masks. Let me back this up too. I have an undergrad in law and I have a master's degree in environmental science. I'm a business owner, environmental consultant. I clean up contaminated sites. So I'm very versed in OSHA and personal protection equipment, etc. What are we going to do then to keep our children safe, protect our children, protect our teachers? What kind of masks are going to be mandated? How are they going to wear their masks? Going to wear them around their chin, as you were? Half the people wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, mask breaks. I mean, should there be a policy then? I think I was pro-choice for masks. And if a student, and what I would personally recommend is the masks like in the hallways, when the kids are going to classrooms. And then when they get to their desks, they shouldn't have to wear a mask because they're sitting, they're isolated. You're not, you're 3 feet away from people because that's the new norm now, right? In restaurants and stuff, you wear it going into a restaurant, you sit down. So sanitizers, could they be in each classroom? You sanitize your hands every time you walk in a classroom. How about temperature checks? I mean, we had no flu this year because kids were staying home. Parents were staying home with their kids. Nobody was going to school sick, whether it was allergies. And God forbid you had allergies. Everybody looked at you like, oh my God, you sneezed. So, I mean, if homeroom came in, and when you went to homeroom and you had a temperature check, how are you feeling? And the teacher maybe talk to the kids, not singling them out, because we don't want to point out people for having an allergy and a runny nose. And you have to think about these kids that way too. I mean, there's a fine line between how a kid feels when they go to school and sitting in their homeroom classroom. They're like, now are they going to want to go to school? And how does the sanitizer affect their hands and when they get all dry and scaly from using it? And the masks are not effective. They're 0% effective. My husband works in a hospital. He never got COVID. He wears an N95 mask. He wears gloves. I took care of both my parents. They were in the hospital with COVID. They nearly died. I know the effects of COVID. I lived it. I got COVID and took care of my 94-year-old grandmother, and she did not get it. And guess what? I didn't wear a mask while I was taking care of her because she had Alzheimer's. And she needed to see me to know who I was while I was taking care of her. She didn't get it. You know why? Because I didn't take care of her while I was sick. My brother was doing it. And I washed my hands, we sanitized, we did everything. Because it was more important for her to know that her family was taking care of her and that she knew who I was. And kids need that. Kids need to see your face. They need to hear you to learn. Okay? So I understand there's a mask mandate. So if there's a mandate, how is West Milford, your Board of Ed, going to carry out this mandate? Are we just going to let the kids and the parents then decide what kind of masks to wear? And are they going to let kids wear masks that maybe make another kid feel bad or whatever? I don't know. Some have silly sayings. Is my time up? But anyway, I want you to... Okay.
Because we have a lot of people who...
All right. Well, the point of my conversation right now is policy. So if we have a mandate, let's come up with a policy that's effective to carry out this mandate. Thank you.
There's someone else on there?
Cassidy Koplish?
Please sign the...
No, we have it. We have it.
Don't say.
Okay, and just please say your name and address.
Okay. My name is Cassidy Koplish, and I live in Shady Lake on Allegheny Ave. Okay, good. All right, so I'm here today, like many others, in the best scenario for my child. She is 4 years old, and she's in the preschool at Maple Road. So she constantly looks at everyone's lips when they're talking, and that's how she's learning how to form her words. So she's been having trouble with that, because she can't see her teacher's face. And she's she's 4, so she's pretty little. She was 3 last year. She just turned 4 in June. So my concern is for my daughter to have the issues going forward in school, when like I'd rather it be handled in her preschool, that her teacher can see her lips, she can see her teacher's lips, they both understand. And I had a newborn during COVID. I was a freak. When she started school, I didn't even want her to go to school. I was a freak. I cleaned everything. But she still got sick from kids in her classroom. I would be like, oh, did you play with so-and-so? She'd be like, oh, they're not in school today. They had a runny nose, whatever. A few days later, she would get a runny nose. So my concern is, at least maybe even just for the preschool class, when they're sitting, maybe not have their masks on, so my daughter has the opportunity to learn her speech correctly. That's my main concern, like I said, for my child. So that's how I feel about the situation. I understand all the effects of COVID and everything. My mom had COVID, was in my face. My daughter, who was 5 months at the time, my other daughter, who was 3 at the time, we actually all didn't get it. And she didn't have a mask on. She had no idea she had COVID. And we all didn't get it, thankfully. So, but I understand it, and I understand how to keep my child safe in the situation, and that's why I think that it should be our choice. I get that you guys have trouble, you can't like figure it out with the governor and everything. I get it, and I'm not trying to put you guys down in any way. But for my child and her preschool class, I would really appreciate if you guys could maybe look it over, try to figure something out for that age group at least. Like I said, it's my personal choice for my child, and whoever wants to mask their kids in class, that's okay. But I would just appreciate if my child would have the opportunity for me to make the choice for her. Like I said, she was okay with wearing a mask, but now going into school, she started crying, saying that her teachers can't hear her because she's very shy as it is. So she starts crying, saying her teachers can't hear her through her mask, which I totally get. I tried different masks, but she's shy, like I said. So that would I would just appreciate that, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Justine Healy.
Hi, it's Justine Healy, Hilltop Road, and that is my legal name, for anyone who was wondering. So I've seen you guys here before. I've been to every meeting since May. It's nice to see parents finally get up and come out here for a change. You know, it's really important to focus on the kids. I'm very active in Trenton. I'm not sure if you're aware, and NJ legislation, as well as NJ for medical freedom. I was in Trenton this afternoon fighting for the teachers' mandates and for freedom of choice, and then I made it down here today for the Board of Ed meeting. I understand that your hands are tied, and we've gone over this. We've had private meetings, and I appreciate everything that you're doing as a board. We do understand that the superintendent and the district is on board for parents' choice, and that as soon as they're able to do that, they will. So we thank you for that. We thank you for working with us. I would like to ask the board to elaborate on the weather clause. I know there's some differences on like what temperature is appropriate. So if you could maybe send out an email or some sort of letter to the parents so they know, so if it's warm the first day of school or at some point in September, you know, if it's okay to send the kids without that. I also thank you very much for accepting the exemptions that were sent in to you by other parents and honoring those. And I just wanted to see if, to touch on what Jess DeGraff had said, who's going to be ensuring that the kids are wearing the masks appropriately because they touched them, like many parents did in the room when they went to drink water, or anybody up here. As soon as you touch your hands, they're contaminated. There's no way to stop the viral spread in the classroom, I'm sorry. You're touching them, you're taking them off, you're sneezing in them. So, like she said, who's enforcing that these masks are being worn properly every time, not under the nose, and not contaminating the classroom if you say that they work? My son is also immune compromised, and I understand there's a few moms here tonight who have immune compromised children. I'm curious, what did we do every year with these kids that were immune compromised? I mean, we didn't have mask mandates, and there were vaccinations, but there was a lot of people with exemptions that were around our children that we had no idea about, and we didn't enforce anything. So we have to make an individual choice for everybody and every family, because It's not my 10-year-old or my 9-year-old's job to keep somebody else's child safe. It's my job and my family. That's our right. It should be freedom of choice. I'm not against masks, I'm against mandates, and I'm against somebody else infringing on my rights. I would never do it. I would never do it to anyone in this room, anyone with an immune-compromised child, anyone with a child that's healthy. I would never tell them that they have to take the mask off their kid. It should be choice. It should be optional for each family and what's best for them. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Just like West Milford is not Patterson or Camden, the cases are different, the district is different, and we have to say the same for families as well. I would be more worried about adenovirus and flu season with kids that are immune compromised. If you remember, in Wanacue, they had the home where all the kids contracted adenovirus and died back in 2018. My daughter also contracted that. There's no vaccine for that, and there was no protocols for that in schools after. It spread around the daycares in town. So those are the things that we need to worry about, especially with kids that are immune compromised. More kids died of the flu than COVID. 0.08% chance of a child dying from COVID. I feel for these families that have immune-compromised children, and I empathize with them, but we have to make sure that we're not infringing on anyone's medical freedom rights, whether it be masks or vaccines or anything. We need to uphold that, and it needs to be the family's choice. That's all we're asking. We're never asking to remove somebody else's right. If that makes you comfortable, wear it. That's the protocol that you can take. And people with special cases, like somebody in this room, I believe her child had an organ donation and transplant, the board needs to accommodate that child, because what happens in flu season or basic cold season, that child's a special case. The cancer patient in town is a special case. They need to be accommodated specially, not treated as a one-size-fits-all. So with that note, I just want to thank you again. Thank you for being on our team, working with us, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Kim Lindolfi.
Hello, Kim Landolfi, 634 Lakeshore Drive. So I hear you loud and clear. I understand about the mandate. However, I am going to speak about choice. I stand here tonight for the freedom of choice. I am the ultimate decision maker for my children, not the government, not the school, not another parent. I do not consent to force medical equipment on my children. Per the FDA, face masks are designated as experimental for emergency use only. There is no solid evidence to prove that masking kids is an effective strategy in mitigating COVID. There are no long-term studies to prove masks don't cause serious harm to a child's daily use. In fact, there are plenty of evidence to the contrary. If a child gets bacterial pneumonia from a mask wearing, which I do know a kid who has, who's at risk, who's liable for that injury caused by the mask? I will not subject my children to difficulty breathing or any risks associated with mask wearing. I am aware there are medical exemptions. However, every child in the world should qualify for a medical exemption because no one should be forced to cover their face, be deprived of pure oxygen, or the right to breathe. One of my kids is hearing impaired. We never realized how much she read lips until people were mandated to wear masks. She's struggling. She can't see her teacher's face. It's really hard. On August 10th, the NEA, National Education Association, held an educational Zoom training, and the topic was how educators and school staff can talk about the COVID-19 vaccine to our children. About this event, and I quote, "We know that the way to end this pandemic is by having as many people as possible choose to get vaccinated. Educators and school staff can help students and their caregivers find credible vaccine information and get the facts to respond to misinformation. We want to practice how to have conversations about the COVID-19 vaccines because they save lives. The training is meant to support educators and school staff when having conversations about the COVID-19 vaccines during the back-to-school season. We will also do a demonstration of our relational tool called REACH. It's an app, I'll talk about that, to support you in tracking your COVID-19 conversations. We are offering gift cards to the most active users. The attendees were taught how to incorporate medical advice into conversations with students and how they could track these interactions for a prize. Teachers are getting incentives to engage students in dialogue, to nudge, guide, convince the unvaccinated to receive the vaccine. Teacher interaction with peers, parents, and vaccine-eligible students, 12 and up, minors, would then be tracked via the app REACH, and monetary rewards offered if the teacher accumulates enough points, Leaders could win gift cards up to $250. The NEA training outlined that teachers, as trusted community professionals, do not need to be medical experts to give vaccine advice. The rationale is that parents and students will trust what teachers have to say, medical or otherwise. Teachers should not be having these discussions with students. Parents and doctors should be. I read the entire transcript from this Zoom. It's very disturbing. One of the slides was ways to help children find their own reason to get the vaccine. Example of what a teacher could say. I hear that family is very important to you. The vaccines are really good at protecting you and really good at keeping you from giving COVID to someone you love. Another slide was how teachers can be super helpful by telling kids where to make an appointment, how to make an appointment, and helping them actually get transportation to the appointment. The NJ-DOH and the NJ-DOE document, the Road Forward Plan, encourages New Jersey schools to promote vaccines to students. This opens a lot of questions for me. What is our district's policy regarding the promotion of the vaccine? Will our district's teachers be logging conversations with students on the REACH app to compensate for vaccine dialogue? Be compensated for vaccine dialogue? Will the COVID-19 vaccination medical intervention promotion be weaved into classroom lessons, discussed during class by our children's teachers, allowing his or her medical opinion to guide the conversation? If our schools are promoting the vaccine, will they also disclose known risks? How will those risks be disclosed? Who in the school will know the vaccination status of students and staff? How will that information be protected? If our district is implementing this plan, how do parents opt out? I understand you might not have the answers to these questions, but I really would appreciate once you do. I'm going to end with this. One of the most valuable rights our children have under the Constitution is the right to receive a free public education. I will be sending my children back to school in September, and I do not consent to medical device on their face. Thank you.
Kevin McCall.
Good evening, Board. Kevin McCall. I reside at 55 Oxbow Lane. Board members and Superintendent Anamone, I come here tonight to support parental choice and mask policy. I have 2 daughters in West Milford schools, and I believe their physical, mental, and social health is much better when they are not constrained, impeded, and distracted from learning through politically driven policies and disproportionately harm young children. Excuse me. Demographic least and harmed by the virus. Clearly looking at tonight's turnout, I'm not the only parent in West Milford asking you to embrace parental choice. And there are Board of Ed meetings happening this week all over the state with huge parental turnout, all asking for the same thing, parental choice. But this issue isn't only about parental choice. It's about the constitutionality of masking kids and the constitutionality of Executive Order 251. So I'm up here to speak to you about lawsuits that have been filed in federal court on behalf of a group of New Jersey parents who do not want their children to endure another year of physical, social, and emotional harms, which will be the inevitable result of a bad executive order. But it's possible that there are members on this board who are not aware of this lawsuit, so I wanted to use this time to give you an overview of the suit, just to ensure that everyone in this room is on the same page. A parents group which calls themselves Free NJ Kids, is suing Governor Phil Murphy, Health Commissioner Judith Priscelli, and the Commissioner of Education in federal court, seeking to prevent the masking of children and overturning Executive Order 251. Free New Jersey Kids hired constitutional attorney, Rutgers law professor Bruce Afrin, to represent their children. Currently, the plaintiff consists of 4 parents and 11 students, with 6 of 7 school districts represented. The case also has about 5 teachers and 6 students submitting certifications about the impact caused by masking last school year. Now, I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but Free New Jersey Kids and Bruce Afrin have invited any and all New Jersey school board and individual school board members to join the case as plaintiffs with no legal fees for doing so. That's right, if West Milford Board of Ed or its individual members of this Board of Ed want to join the case as plaintiffs, the legal fees are already paid because Free NJ Kids has already exceeded their fundraising goals for the case. And if there are any individual member or members of this board who are interested in joining the suit, Attorney Afrin also confirmed that an individual member does not need the permission of the board to join as a plaintiff. So what's the goal of the lawsuit? The plaintiffs are seeking a declaratory judgment declaring Executive Order 251 unconstitutional and an injunction barring its enforcement. Such a judgment would also prevent school boards from independently masking kids once the EO is vacated. Individual parents and students would retain the right to mask as a voluntary matter, but no public school would have the power to order it. Executive Order 251 would be declared unconstitutional and would be vacated. As for the timing, the case should be heard quickly. Attorney Afrin is preparing the second amended complaint, which should be filed this week. The injunction proceeding would probably get heard about 2 weeks after it's filed. Members of the board, you can find more information about this case at www.freenjkids.com. If you do give consideration to joining the suit as a plaintiff or plaintiffs, you can email the group leadership at freenjkids@gmail.com. They've been vocal about the need for Board of Ed plaintiffs, and the West Milford Board of Ed now has an opportunity to push back against the overreaching executive order and take meaningful action that will show the world that West Milford prioritizes our kids' health above politics. And to close, I came here tonight to support the idea of parental choice in making health decisions for our children. The Free New Jersey Kids lawsuit is important because it supports parental choice. While it will end arbitrary masking of our kids, it nonetheless will allow parents and students who feel more comfortable with masks to wear them as a matter of choice. But I cannot support a policy that removes choice and condemns our kids to another year of physical, social, and emotional harm through a policy based on arbitrary coercion and force. Enough is enough. Let the parents make the health decisions for their children. Thank you.
Mary Moore? Mary Moore?
If not, that's fine.
We can't hear you.
It's all right. Is there a chair that I can put the boards up against? Thank you. Hello, I'm Mary Moore. I'm a 24-year resident of West Milford. I live on McCormick Road here in West Milford, and I'm the mother of 2 boys who attend the West Milford Public Township Schools. Now, this pandemic has been so confusing for so many people. People are getting facts from the news, the social media, advocacy groups with agendas. I learned very early on that I needed to forego any of these sources and go to renowned, accredited institutions of medicine science in order to get my facts. I have done research of Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, Harvard, New York Presbyterian, because I look to their expertise to help me understand what this COVID pandemic is all about. And I looked to those institutions to help save my son's life last year. For those of you who don't know my family, this is my son, Max. He's 16 years old, and he's a junior at the high school. He has been healthy, active, he's smart as a whip, up until last year. And last year, this was him in the hospital in New York Presbyterian. Yeah, that's a ventilator in his throat. The reason why he had a ventilator wasn't COVID. It was because of an incurable lung disease, which acts very similar to COVID, called pulmonary vascular occlusive disease. It causes extensive scarring and fibrosis in the lungs. You know what? This came out of nowhere. There's no known cause and there's no known cure. The only treatment was a lung transplant. We had to come up with a decision, and we decided to trust in those medical professionals, those experts who have done the education and the research. We put our son's life in their hands, and in the grace of God, he was given a second chance at life. He was given a new pair of lungs, and now he is healthy, he is healing, and he is thriving. But he is also immunocompromised. And we're not talking that he can get a little sick or he's more likely to get sick. It's a matter of life and death for him. Now, people are saying, keep a kid home. He can stay at home. He has every right and every choice to go to school because, just like previous individuals said, he has a right to a public education. But in order to go to school, it isn't just about being educated. It's about being safe as well. And people say, you know what? we have so many ways to prevent COVID. Well, many studies have been shown, University of Calgary is one, that masks weren't what caused issues with depression and suicide and anxiety. It was the isolation from peers and instructors and friends. Masks have been proven to show a lessened reaction and ability to get infected with COVID. Now, you may say, oh, well, respiratory droplets can go right through it. Well, you have to wear the right type of masks. You have to wear them properly. And you also have to do cleaning and sanitizing methods as well along with it. But it lessens your chance of getting infected. Let me give an example. Let's say my son, wearing a mask, is on one side of the classroom, and there's another student, and they're not wearing a mask. Well, you know what? That person sneezes, and those respiratory droplets come out. And a study at MIT showed those respiratory droplets can go 27 plus feet across. And guess what? Those aerated respiratory droplets last in the air for up to an hour and sit on surfaces for over a few days. My son, who tries to, go and eat lunch later on, takes off his mask, he goes through that aerated water droplets or, touches the surface. Guess what? His chance of being infected has grown exponentially. It doesn't prevent you from getting COVID, but it lessens the chance of being infected. There's a lot of people out there that say, oh, COVID is another flu. Well, you know what? It's not. Northwestern University released a study on January 11th of this year, and it states clearly that COVID is far more dangerous. It lasts a lot longer in your lungs. And on top of that, it causes more scarring and more fibrosis, just like my son endured. By wearing masks, it will stop and allow us to be able to mitigate what is going on with the transmission of this virus. We take a look at the transmission rates, and they're high in every county here in New Jersey. Wearing a mask is prudent. To wrap up, I have people say to me, it's not my kid, it's not my problem. Well, I'll tell you right now, the minute you stop caring about your fellow man, you stop and you lose your humanity. This board and this community have a whole lot of humanity in it. We believe in the mask mandate. There's plenty of us out there. I don't want to see a kid ever suffer like my son did.
Gary Dan.
Gary Dan.
Thank you. Gary Dan, Ridge Road. Well, it's true what the previous person said, that the virus does go through the mask. It's true. If you believe that the mask is going to protect you, by all means do it. For the people that want to force masking on everybody, I mean, the virus, in the simple terms, the virus is this big. Cross patterns of the mask is this big. The virus goes through. What happens then is that you get a concentration of virus, bacteria, CO2 in the masks that's concentrated, goes into your nasal cavity, goes into your eyes. The virus will live on a dry surface. It'll live a few hours. On a wet, moist mask, it will last a week, therefore increasing the concentration and increasing your chance of getting that virus as opposed to not wearing it. Sneezing with a mask on, it aerosolizes it. Something that would have just come out and magically dropped 6 feet will now aerosolize, and now you're causing a bigger problem. Dr. Fauci, even in his private emails that were obtained by FOIA requests, admitted in those emails that masks that you buy over the counter are pretty much useless. If you want to get something right, you have to get a properly fitted N95 mask, and those masks are not to be worn more than 15 minutes. for the school board, are you going to take any executive order? Anything the governor says, you just say, lie down, roll over, and just take it? Or are you going to fight a little bit? We want you to fight for us. We'll support you if you fight for us. Join some of the other communities. Join Middletown. Doesn't take that much bravery, but it does, in this world, it does take a little bit of bravery to write a letter. But our community has your back. We want you to stand up for us. Protect the kids.
Are you done?
Almost.
I didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, what is this really about? It's about a governor running for re-election, and he's pushing his will on us. He really should have been concentrating on the nursing homes and not our kids. So what we want you to do is be brave. When you go to sleep tonight, put your head in the comfortable pillow. Are you doing the right thing for the kids, or are you being cowards? Be brave. Stand up for the kids.
It's been 30 minutes.
Okay, we need to extend, make a motion to
Yeah.
extend by 30 minutes for public comment.
Yeah, I was going to make a motion to extend 30 minutes and then reevaluate after.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we're extending by 30 minutes. Is there someone else?
Yes, Simona Dan.
Hello, my name is Simona Dan. I live in 144 Ridge Road in West Milford. I am a mother of 2 school-age children here in Macopain High School. I'm advocating for choice. I am an X-ray technologist in a hospital. I handle inpatients, outpatients, ICU units, cases in operating rooms and emergency rooms. I went to work when this virus was unknown and much more deadly, while most people here stayed safely home. I have seen this virus up close, and I have seen my patients die. During the pandemic, chest x-rays and CAT scans became the fastest and the best tools to diagnose COVID. I'm here to say that kids are not at risk, and masking them is not medically sound. Yes, we wear masks when we get up too close to patients. I have had them cough in my face. I also work with sick patients and not healthy kids. If I'm going to be close to an infected patient, I wear a N95 mask that has been specifically fitted. Otherwise, I am unprotected. Have you ever read the warning on the side of a box of surgical masks? This is what it says. This mask does not eliminate the risk of contracting disease or infection. Change immediately if contaminated with blood or bodily fluids. I am sure that everyone knows saliva is a bodily fluid. Tears, nose mucus, bodily fluids. How are the kids supposed to follow this warning? There's reason for changing masks immediately after it gets any moisture inside. Bacteria and viruses thrive in moist environment. Everyone knows how moist and unhealthy feeling we have after a couple of minutes of having mask on. Why would you let healthy kids wear moist, germs-infected masks for the whole day at school? I change my mask multiple times a day. Kids don't. Some kids are even wearing one mask for a few days. Kids are not wearing fitted masks, therefore there's absolutely no protection. It is just to make you feel safe. My kids will be going back to school in September. I do not consent to them wearing a medical device which, if not worn properly, subjects them to dangerous bacteria and pathogens and makes them breathe in unhealthy CO2 environment. I'm advocating for choice.
Henrietta Schaefer.
Henrietta Schaefer. I'm giving my spot to Alexandra, and I'll take her spot, if that's okay. We're just flipping. Thank you. Hi, I'm Alexandra Swander. I live at 112 Timber Lane, Newfoundland. I'm a nursing student going into my senior year at a New Jersey State College. Okay, I'm standing here tonight to talk to you about choices. And thank you, by the way, for giving us copies of Executive Order 251. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm just wondering here, by the way, who's read Executive Order 251? Anyone? Yep. I don't see much from this side of the room, by the way. I see a lot of hands coming from over here.
Right there. This is not going to be us against them.
Oh, okay, no problem.
We're listening to everyone, we're doing it.
Thank you.
We don't need to argue here on the floor.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk to you about sections 1A, 1B, and 1H, which I'm very familiar with. I'm aware that the governor's recent EO Order 251 requires all school districts to maintain a policy requiring mandatory use of face masks for students and employees. And based on Dr. Anamone's opening statement, it sounds like the BOE is fleshing out what this policy might look like for West Milford, and I anticipate a vote prior to the start of the school year. But possibly tonight, I'm not really sure. I didn't see on the agenda, so I just wasn't clear on that. My objective in speaking to you now is to discuss the extent that exemptions and flexibility are actually built into the wording of this executive order, and they provide you, the BOE, with options for approaching the development of your policy. My fellow West Milford parents and residents, we believe that options and choices are your best approach for this policy, but I'm going to explore as many options as I can fit into 5 minutes. So first I want to establish that EO 251 was deliberately constructed to be flexible by providing exemptions to masking, and the governor left it to individual school districts to clarify the terms of these exemptions. Okay. Also, I think that the fact that he said that each district shall maintain a policy clearly indicates that we expect districts will have their own ideas to a substantial degree. And yes, to echo what someone else said, it might take courage, it might take creativity by the school districts. But there's a huge area that BOEs can regulate on their own. So now, before I go into those clauses, I want to talk to you about what EO 251 doesn't say. It doesn't provide any specifics, and instead it leaves it up to the BOEs to fill the gaps and make clarifications. For instance, the BOEs can determine, for example, what types of masks should be used, the number of breaks every hour, the frequency of the breaks. So the school district can fill in those gaps with policy changes. The EO essentially says that the district is only obligated to set a policy on mask wearing. I don't think you have an obligation to do anything beyond that. It's a give and take that you can use to fight this order. It takes creative but logical thinking. So also, many BOE attorneys don't think BOEs have the authority on their own to issue generalized health regulations. Sure, they can send a kid to the school nurse, but the point is that BOEs do not have a generalized health power because they don't have a statutory authority to do so, at least in the public schools, maybe not private. That's not to say you don't have the right to interpret the governor's order in a way that is reasonable, and we encourage you to do exactly that, to interpret and clarify Executive Order 251 in a way that is reasonable to the parents and the children's best interests. So what is a BOE actually tasked with for 251? Well, a board's responsibility is to all students, not just the 6 students, not just special demographics. In fact, the executive order allows virtual learning in special circumstances, such as for students who are immune compromised. The BOE is responsible for developing a masking policy that is based on the needs and the health of the majority of the healthy students. And for them, we all know the risk of mask wearing isn't worth it. There are no upsides for the masked majority of the students. So let's look at the 3 main exemptions. There's 1A, 1B, and 1H. They clearly lay out what's already approved. And so the BOE has every right to implement policies that allow what 1A, 1B, and 1H put out, but there's more flexibility built into that. So let's start with 1A. That reads, when doing so would inhibit the individual's health, such as when the individual is exposed to extreme heat indoors. Well, the key term in this clause is health. And let me be clear, extreme heat is a loose standard. It is not an example. It is not the exception, the exemption. The exemption consists of the category of suboptimal conditions under the umbrella of health. This leaves room for a BOE to develop a policy and pass a resolution that health can be defined across mental, emotional, psychological, and physiological categories, and can be signed by an MD, a counselor, a social worker. That means that any child with anxiety conditions, a psychological problem, etc., can really qualify. So either as a BOE or in conjunction with the town council, right, you can set up a resolution stating that we will accept any of these signatures, right, as a basis of exemption for EO 251. Okay, and please, I implore you, please do not deprioritize. Mm-hmm.
Many people that have signed up to speak, so we have to stop.
Okay.
Great job, Al.
All right.
Henrietta Shakes.
Henrietta Schaefer, 22 Broadway. I thought pretty long and hard about the many things I wanted to say here tonight, but I keep coming back to one theme: philosophical questions. I was driving home the other night from a dinner out with friends. I was alone in my car. A song came on the radio that was popular when I was in high school. All of a sudden, in my mind, I was there. I saw my friends sitting in our classrooms. I saw my peers laughing, joking, and discussing the various issues that would affect us in our lives. In my mind, I saw everyone's face as clear as day, their faces. What kinds of memories will our kids have of these years, these 3 years of affected school where they cannot see faces? I said to myself, as I've been saying to myself all along, we better have a damn good reason for this. The problem is that anyone questioning the policy of masking our children is ridiculed, insulted, called anti-science, called a selfish individual. This brings me to my second philosophical discussion. When did it become taboo to question governmental policy? When did questioning policy make a person crazy, or worse, anti-science? Truly the greatest insult to be thrown at anyone asking questions. The problem is science is not settled. You can look at a myriad of doctors and institutions offering alternative narratives. Science is not settled. It never is. There is always new data emerging. Yet, New Jersey has a COVID policy that refuses to be nuanced. It is a one-size-fits-all metric that we all must exist under, even if the data doesn't support it. Look at the numbers. New Jersey is now an anomaly in the country at large, and West Milford is certainly an anomaly within Passaic County. COVID-19 has never been a problem in West Milford, and the deaths that we have had have been primarily in our long-term care facilities and nursing homes. Have we ever had a problem here with children in COVID? We have 0 cases of the Delta variant, according to the Passaic County Health Department. Our COVID caseload is far lower than average, as it has been during the entire pandemic, even at the height of the hysteria in New Jersey. I feel deeply for the parents of immunocompromised children, but is it fair to continue to mask all children when there is ample research proving that masks negatively impact learning, socialization, mental health, and general health by not allowing the free flow of oxygen and from the pathogens on masks? We are sane parents asking for choice, asking for the God-given right to weigh the costs of mask wearing versus the benefits for our children and others. This brings me to philosophical point number 3. When did the state seize the right to take over a parent's responsibility for their own children? I have studied history and politics at the graduate level, and this to me sounds like a totalitarian, dictatorial government, not the USA. The sticky thing about living in a free society is that we don't always agree with others' choices, but those choices are fundamental. 2 weeks ago, the West Milford Town Council affirmed parents' right to choose whether or not to mask their children. Parents want choice. We want to be looked at as sane enough and smart enough and competent enough to make the correct choices for our families and for others. The problem is that the state and the schools now look at us as too stupid or too selfish to do that. There is also a belief that we would purposely hurt an immunocompromised child just to assert our own twisted notion of freedom and independence. The truth is, masks hurt many kids more than they help. I believe that parents and schools can and must work together to protect the health of all, and I believe that this can be done. Tonight, I am calling on the Board of Ed to try and get more creative in how they approach this issue. I am also calling for a letter to Governor Murphy asking for a different, more lenient policy for the municipalities that are not severely impacted by COVID-19. It is unfair to be painted with the same brush as the densely populated urban and suburban parts of the state, and most specifically with our neighbors in Passaic County. When we hear about Passaic County numbers, those are Patterson, Clifton, not West Milford. And for the pro-mask parents here tonight, I want you to know that no one is trying to hurt your child. We are simply wanting a choice to do what is best for ourselves and for others. Thank you.
Christine Reeder?
Christine Reeder?
Reader.
Hi, my name is Christine Reeder. I live on Navajo Trail. My daughters are 15 and 17, high-achieving honor roll students here at West Milford. Tonight, I don't come to you as a medical expert. I'm not one. I'm a teacher and a mom. Last year, I was a fourth grade teacher at an exclusive independent school in Morristown. Tuition, $40,000 a year. We were in person every day from 7:30 to 4:30, every day. Classes did not have to be virtual, except when admin chose to do so upon return from winter or spring break to prevent school spread of COVID. We were able to be in person for the majority of the school year because we had 100% buy-in from the families who paid to be at our school. This was a school-issued mandate of social distancing and mask wearing. Parents understood the importance and value of in-person instruction over virtual learning. They wanted it, and we did it. We hardly had any absences due to COVID. If we did, it was from an off-campus club sport, and only 1 or 2 teammates at a time, not a class. Kids wore masks without complaint, and even wore them running around at recess. Yes, my school was that strict with masks. My point is, it has been done successfully, and it already has been done and can be done. If not worn, we will surely be virtual again. What is your preference? Mask wearing in person or remote learning? Working families, I ask you, what will you do if we're virtual again? And lastly, Dr. Anemone, this is addressed to you. I read everything that you write. I would love it if you could please speak for all shareholders when you speak and quote shareholders, because half of this room is pro-mask. That's all.
I don't see anyone else on this topic. We have another 11 minutes.
We have 11 minutes, so I can open it up, but we won't be stopping after the 11. Okay.
Remember a couple years ago when the hot topic was 6th grade going to Maccapin? I spoke then, so wish we could go back to that. A fellow Monica Church, 40 Beach Haven Road in UGL. Former president of the PTA, very involved, Maccapin PTO. My kids are 3rd generation West Milford. A fellow West Milford parent said to me recently, I'm not pro-mask, I'm pro-keep the kids in school. This sums up the majority of what West Milford parents want, and I'm going to guess most of the teachers and the staff. And yes, there are adults in the building with our kids. No one wants to send their kids to school in a mask. No one wakes up and says, woo, they're wearing masks. That's not what any of us wanted. I was at the last Board of Ed meetings and I wasn't wearing a mask, but unfortunately the data has changed. Unfortunately, we have very few mitigation measures to slow the spread, and masking is one of them. Did you know that earlier this month, Agape Child Care Center closed for 2 weeks because of COVID? In the middle of summer, elementary school kids younger than us for 2 weeks, and their masks were optional. That's what we don't want. The lady before me just said it. Virtual doesn't work. We don't want hybrid, we don't want virtual. Many teachers have told me the same thing. I don't think the mask will be forever. I think it will be optional again. We just got to ride the wave out. So the goal, like we did it last year, it worked, is for those masks, unfortunately. I also keep hearing kids are at near zero risk of hospitalization and death. So we can agree it's not zero. And we have kids in this district. We all know one kid in my own elementary school and other schools who have this immunocompromise. So to say to them, sorry, we can't accommodate you, we've done meal trains, fundraisers, welcome home parades, and now we're just going to say to them, well, sucks to be you. Good luck, you're on your own. We can't do that. COVID's here, we got to figure it out. And this is one way to do it, to slow the spread. It may not be perfect, but nothing this past year has been. So I'm hoping, again, that the masks become optional. I had emailed Dr. Anamone at the beginning of summer. I was okay with that. But unfortunately, COVID changed. So we have to change. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Darlene Geller. I live at 1588 Mackabin Road in West Milford. I've lived here for 15 years. I have 3 daughters, 24, 16, and 13. And I want to speak to you today because I was very cooperative when this all started. It was 15 days to slow the spread. We're now at day 530. Not only are we at day 530, things are being censored left and right. I don't want my children to wear a mask. Any study that proves that masks don't work are censored. And tell me it's not, try to look it up. It's completely censored. My children have not gotten sick at all. My children will not be going to school if they have a fever. I am not an irresponsible parent. I think that the decision to wear a mask should be on the individual parent. If your child is immunocompromised, I'm really, I feel bad. I will not send my child to school with a fever, with the sniffles. I will keep my child home. But it is my child. I don't want you guys making decisions for my child or Phil Murphy. If you haven't realized that this country has taken a turn in these past 530 days, open your eyes. We are talking about vaccines. We're talking about vaccine passports. And anything against the vaccine is censored. Hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, censored. Open your eyes. We're losing America, and I want freedom for my children and for everybody's children.
Hi, Helena Chandler, 22 Breland Road. I have an elementary and middle school age kid. I think what I want to say is that I don't really want the conversation to be about masks. I want it to be about protecting our children. I want it to be science-based. And when I say science, I mean peer-reviewed science. Dr. Anemone has a doctorate, therefore knows research process. And I have a doctorate. Please don't ask me about vaccines or viruses, because that's not what my doctorate's in, right? So we want the true experts to be providing the information and to use that information, okay? I've heard a lot about masks being imperfect. They are imperfect. They're a layer of protection, right? So much like a car seat and a seat belt, and then you've also got your airbag. You get in a car accident, you can still get hurt. In fact, sometimes the seatbelt dislocates your shoulder, but the population health data show that the seatbelt is more protective than not wearing the seatbelt. Therefore, it's mandated. And we do have that information about masks, okay? That is out there, it's peer-reviewed. I can get you the citations if you need them. And that's what I'm asking for, is just please follow the science. Think about our kids. And what's in that executive order does talk about layers of protection. That's the language that's used. So let's put in the layers of protection that are appropriate to the current data. The 0.08% chance is old data. We have pediatric ICUs in the southern portion of this country that are currently full. And people say, well, it's not in West Milford. That's right. So let's keep it out, right? This is about prevention. We don't want to be dealing with this problem. Let's prevent it. Let's do the things that we know. When I say we, the public health officials know will protect us. So that's what I'm asking, because you will at some point get the opportunity to make a decision. You don't have it right now. And I don't know what the data will say at that point, so I'm not going to tell you what the answer should be. I'm just going to ask that you really use data and not emotion or opinion, okay? Because we are all in this together. I don't think anyone here wants to hurt a child, right? But we will inadvertently hurt children if we make the wrong decision. And I also agree with the speaker that says, and not that I agree, the data show that the isolation is a real problem. I saw that in my own children. But again, anecdotes, I don't care about anecdotes. There is research data. The isolation hurts. I don't want to see my kids isolated. The other thing is, you want to see me at work, right? And you want to see our businesses open. And if we have to shut down, I don't go to work, I don't spend money, I don't go into businesses. There are important ripple-out effects, which are not the concern of the Board of Education. But, some people talk about all these other consequences. If you are going to consider all these other consequences, I think that's really important. Okay, we want to keep our society functioning, and prevention is the way to do it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maria Haggerty. I live at 376 Ridge Road. My daughter is entering the West Milford schools this year. I have been a firm believer in Catholic school education. She started at St. Catherine's until it closed, and she went to St. Elizabeth in Wyckoff, which is 19-point-something miles away from West Milford. At her request, because she wanted to be closer to friends, we made the decision to leave the faith-based education that I think is very important to come to our public schools. I'm excited about it. I do believe that all of you as educators care about all of our children, want the absolute best for them. For the past year and a half, as a lawyer in-house, managing human resources, managing getting employees back to work in Texas, in New Jersey, in Massachusetts, in New York City. Having had COVID, myself and my daughter, I implore on you, like the person before me, to look at the data. Do I want my daughter in a mask all day? No. But she did it last year. 205 students at St. Elizabeth, and talk to every other Catholic school in the area. These children were in school from 7 a.m. until 2:30 in the afternoon, wearing masks during recess. They learn in person and excel. Every single one of them. I can when they were in her class.
Linda.
And with all due respect, I didn't say anything at your time. The science is there. I read the science all around. There are two epidemiologists whose websites I follow carefully. I don't listen to any of the news, and the science is there. What we need to prevent is the closure. We need to take the fact that West Milford has had good numbers and keep them that way. With science and with the layered approaches of protection, we can get our kids in school, keep them in school, and I firmly believe this is not a forever mandate. But together we can do this. This isn't about, everybody says, well, don't question government. Absolutely question government. Absolutely. In fact, teach our children how to do so. Civics teaches our children those very things, and that's what we want. We want an educated society, but we want that understand how to weigh the risks. And the biggest risk we have is ending up virtual, ending up shut down like so many other school districts in the South have ended up. Is that what we want for our children? Every state that has a mandate against masks has been sued, and the federal government has upheld each time the fact that you cannot prevent mask wearing. Has been held up over and over again. Please listen to the science. Respectfully, please protect all of our children. All of our children. Thank you.
Make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
Second.
Jay. All those in favor? I'm sorry, public comment is closed.
It's close, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There will be a second public comment at the end of the meeting. Okay.
All right, just before we adopt the agenda, I have two corrections to make. On page 9, Personnel Student Affairs Resolution number 30. We're going to add 2 substitute teachers to the list. One is Alisa Cheff, A-L-I-S-A, last name C-H-E-F-F. That's a substitute teacher. And the other name is Charles Dole, D-O-E-L-L, and that's another substitute teacher.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's the only. We have 2 hand carries.
Can I ask a question about the personnel hand carry, just because I'm a little... I didn't know if it needed to be revised, that's why I was asking now. Because the numbers are, I don't know if the numbers are not correct, or if the hand carry is replacing certain numbers. Because the agenda says 1 through 56, but then hand carry 1 is 33 through... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing entirely. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I did. Ignore me entirely. I'm so sorry. I missed one meeting and it's all over. Forget it. I'm sorry. I did, and it's all together. Sorry. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Education, Mrs. Dwyer.
Okay, I'd like to move items 1 through 7 and hand carry number 8.
Second. Any discussion?
I have a question. Okay.
You are.
I have a question. I'm looking at the history and math. I tried to look up the curriculums on the websites. I can't find them. Do we have curriculums that we can look at, Dan?
Yeah, I have the paper copies at the education committee, and they should be up on the board member page of the meeting.
Okay.
At that time, board member page, I was assuming debate on how easy it was to get to, but it should be all ready to go. Everyone can access it.
Okay.
Digital copies.
All right, and then, okay, yeah, I have another question. On the overnight field trips, what happens if COVID prevents these kids from going on this trip? I know we had a problem with the band in Scotland last year. Are these kids going to be guaranteed to have their money back?
Well, I've spoken to the athletic department about that to see which portion is refundable and to be careful before paying anything to make sure it is refundable.
Okay, and I had the same question about item number 3, and the field trip at the Bessie Ross Diner and is that all dependent on healthy, I guess, non-COVID environment?
I can comment on the diner. I know that that's a field trip location for our transition students in the 18 to 21 program. But yes, they would only be going, obviously, if it was safe to go.
And the Camp Camus trip is a 6th grade Macapin trip. It's going to be a 6th grade Macapin trip.
I'm just worried families, you know, lose money and kids don't lose opportunities. I just don't want to see that happen. So, okay, thank you. I don't think they're paying for the third and 26th grade. Any other discussion? Not roll call?
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Greeno?
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Stillman?
Yes.
Mr. Ovchinsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Conklin?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
Yes. Personnel student affairs, Mrs. Stevenson?
I'd like to make a motion to move items 1 through 56 and hand carry items 57 through 61.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I do, I'm sorry. Don't be
No.
sorry, that's why we're here. I am going to vote no on number 10. And the reason for that is because I think by doing that, you're creating an imbalance in elementary schools enrollment, and I think you're showing favoritism to employees, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. So I am going to be voting no. And then, question number 12. No, that's it, that's all I have. Any other discussion on the agenda? Oh, I have one more question. On number 55, I see another football coach. How many football coaches do we actually have?
I'll get the exact number. This is a replacement for somebody who, it's the same number we've always had. We just have I'll have to look at it. I don't want to give you the wrong number.
I think so.
6.
I think so.
Maybe 6 assistants in one head, or is it 6?
There's, I think altogether it's 6.
All right, I'll get you the number tomorrow. I know it doesn't help us now, but I'll get you the official number.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call?
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Guarino?
Personnel.
Personnel vote.
Yes.
Mr. Ovchinsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
Abstain on 46.
No, we're voting, huh?
I
Yeah,
said
she
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
abstain on
46?
46 and yes to everything else.
What number are you abstaining?
46.
And
Makes
yes
sense.
on everything else?
Yes.
Mr. Conklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer?
No on number 10, yes on everything else.
Mr. Stillman?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
Yes.
Operations and finance.
I'd like to move items 1 through 8 under operations and finance.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Ovchinsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Guarino?
Abstain from, where are we?
2.
Hang on,
Which one?
I gotta find it.
2.
2, thank you. Abstain from 2, yes to the rest.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Stillman?
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
No on 2, abstain on 5, yes, 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8.
Mr. Conklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
Yes.
I'd like to move item number 9 under operations and finance.
Mr. Oshinsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Greeno?
Abstain?
Mrs. Dwyer? Yes. Mr. Stillman?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Conklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
Abstain.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
I abstain. This is payroll again.
I'd like to move item number 10 under operations and finance.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Oshinsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Greeno?
Abstain?
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Stillman?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Conklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo? Mrs. Van Dyke?
Abstain.
I'd like to move items 11 through 15 under operations and finance.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Oshinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Greeno?
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Stillman?
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Conklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
Yes. Committee reports. Anything on Parks and Recreation, Mr. Stillman?
No.
I have, there's no report on safety yet, not till school starts. Same for superintendent roundtable. How about Passaic County School Board?
I'll see you in September.
I think they put out a survey. Did everybody get the survey that came from New Jersey? So I'm switching down to the next one, about in-person trainings. I got it yesterday. If you got it, maybe you could fill it out because, I think a lot of people want the in-person back so that we could do some networking and that.
Right.
We don't have our workshop. So,
That's the teeter-totter of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Want to get back.
legislative, Mr. Overstreet?
I have no report.
Technology.
I have nothing, but I don't know if there was anything with the security vestibules and how that's going.
Security vestibules.
Technology.
So the security vestibules are under construction now, Macbeth and the high school.
Yeah.
They'll most likely will not be ready for the first day of school, but sometime thereafter, the security vestibules, yeah.
Yeah, supply chain issues, the fabrication, so we're expecting everything to be in at the vestibules in October, mid-October, and the science classrooms also, the casework that needs to be done at Macbeth.
But we had all the technology already for the vestibules, the cameras and things like that were
So
done.
the camera project was separate. That's been completed.
Yeah, the cameras.
In that area is done.
Yeah, the
Right, it was
cameras are
just the
ready.
high school that went in. Every other building had it already, and high school was the last building this summer. That went in probably like late June, maybe early July it was finished. So all the buildings, facilities have cameras indoor and out, and then we're just waiting to finish the 2 security vestibules, Macbeth and high school.
Township and with the board of joint committee, we don't have a meeting yet. Maybe
No.
September.
We haven't set anything up at this point.
And West Milford Municipal Alliance?
Yeah, we had the National Nights Out on August the 3rd. I wish I was there. I fortunately was with my father in Florida. But from what I heard and from the pictures I've seen from various people, the turnout was phenomenal. We had over 250 people show. We had the county come out in various modalities, Sheriff's Department, we had the mayor, the police chief, they ripped up a few cars, the kids got a kick out of that. It was better than anybody anticipated, and from what I'm hearing, they were going to do a repeat job in 2020.
Did anybody go on?
I did with my kids.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah, that's great. All right, old business. Anybody have anything for old business?
I just got a question. The fields, can we get an update on the fields? Is that now or 15 minutes?
Well, I don't, do You want to do it, or you want me to do it?
So Howard Field is the JV softball field, that's right adjacent here. That is under construction now, they're redoing the infield. They took it down all the way to the,
They had to build it up on one
Yeah.
side and lower it on the other side. We were concerned with the rain this past weekend, that it was going to be a problem, but it worked. From what I understand, Kilgallen could have been played on yesterday. The outfield was in good shape because they've been able to build it up so that the water is not coming off of Howard and going down the hill into Kilgallen. So, it's a work in progress, but I think they've made some progress. It's taken a lot more time than they thought, but I think we're going in the right direction.
yeah. So Howard Field was not level from third base to first base, and then down to the baseball field, so we're,
They had to level it, and they put a swale in to prevent the water from going down. Since they're not going to have time to get to Kilgallen for the fall ball will be held on Kilgallen. And they'll either start it in November, or they'll wait until the snow thaws.
On Kilgallen or on Howard?
Kilgallen.
The sand that's out there right now is for Howard?
Yes.
And then when is that going to be placed on the field?
Well, I think it's just about completed.
yeah, they put down the base,
It looks like land.
they put down the base first, they leveled that, now they're just adding the clay on top.
Well, they had to order extra, they got another delivery.
They had to get a lot of rock, because they had to take everything out, they had to put drainage in, they needed a lot more stone in order to build it up and level it. So, I think that it's in a good place. We should just about be done with it.
Yeah. I think we're at about 1,600 man-hours working on Howard Field. So we've had, each crew person's there for 7 or 8 hours a day, so you can divide that out. So we put a lot of time and effort into Howard Field, and like I said, if yesterday's storm didn't damage it, probably nothing will. That was a pretty nasty
It was a
rainstorm
worse
we had.
condition than they originally anticipated once they started digging it out. So it took a lot more.
Maybe some of it helped him
It
out.
took a lot more to make it, to put the drainage in and the rock, the drainage and the stones than they thought. But I think they've been very successful.
Any other old business? Now I need a motion to close old
Make a
business.
motion to close old business.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? New business. Anybody have new business?
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close old business.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public comment. This portion of the meeting is open to members of the public interest in the actions of the board for the purpose of addressing any subject matter pertinent to and/or directly related to the operations of the West Milford Public School District. Members of the public who have requested to speak prior to the meeting will be recognized by the chair first. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes for a period of 30 minutes, and then time permitting other public comment limited to 5 minutes per speaker will be allowed until the 30-minute time period transpires. All speakers are asked to sign the register and give their legal full name and spell their last name, group affiliation, if appropriate, and provide their address. Issues raised by the members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that the members of the public be courteous and respectful of the rights of other individuals in speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged. The board and the administration will not respond to them. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded to them by the laws of New Jersey. The board is not responsible and is not liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in the light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments. Members of the public are reminded that they are legally responsible and liable for their
conduct for the second half? Gary Shepherd.
What is bad faith? Let me tell you, it's defined as intentional dishonest act by not fulfilling legal contractual obligations, misleading another, entering into an agreement without the intention or means to fulfill it. A bid was advertised by this board for the sale of 1810 Maccabin and associated properties. We won the bid, and I was immediately approached by the business administrator to alter the terms. The parking lot in the bid became an issue to the board. The board's contract calls for all parking lots and athletic fields. The bid calls out only one parking lot depicted on an aerial. The contract presented by the board calls out, the board will reasonably cooperate with the buyer in seeking to obtain the final approvals in a timely fashion at no cost to the board. We have agreed. Filing the application in the board's name guarantees the subdivision and costs nothing. Because the property is governed by the Highlands Act, it is, however, the only way to subdivide. Therefore, it is reasonable. The board requested the right to sell 1810 Maccabin from Bernie Paella, director in the Office of School Facilities in the Department of Education in Trenton, years ago. He wonders why it hasn't happened. In addition, he wonders why the Board of Ed would want to keep a field when it has so many others that it has trouble maintaining. Fields around an operating school does not meet the board's purview, but around the schools does meet the board's purview, but a standalone field is questionable, according to Bernie Paella. When we first bid on the property, I inspected it with an engineer. Since then, through a cold winter, wet summer, and these bad faith negotiations, I'm sure it has deteriorated. Among the other damages we are seeking are the increased costs caused by the board in bad faith negotiating, offering the property to the YMCA after our bid was accepted, discussing a deal with the township while representing to council that the deal fell through. These assertions are categorically false and misleading. We have tried to work with this board, but their malfeasance is apparent. Our OPA requests have already shown this to be true. By the way, even after we delivered a signed contract that matched the bid, the board had few objections. In early May, our lawyer memorialized that he would agree not to have an easement over the field and asked for a meeting to address any other open issues. I'm not sure the board ever heard about these emails or conversations, but they're documented. We're not going away. Our OPA requests continue to uncover improper conduct that will embarrass many that either serve on or serve this board. If the board does not honor our bid, meet with us to finalize the minor changes and countersign our agreement within 1 week after your September 21st, 2021 board meeting. We will follow with a suit for specific performance of a publicly accepted bid, additional funds necessary for renovation due to the board's delays, and the building's decay. Our legal fees to force performance, as well as punitive damages due to my lost income and lost interest on my deposit, and probably tortious interference by some individuals because this deal should have been consummated by January 1st, 2021. Ultimately, we will buy the property, and it will cost you unnecessary funds.
Anyone else wishing to speak under public comment?
Hi, Lisa Ferrara, 115 Newbury Place. There is treatment for COVID, but many doctors don't follow the science. My husband and I know a total of about 70 people who have had COVID and recovered fine. I have many articles to share and the links to back them up. Here is an article from the American Journal of Therapeutics demonstrating the efficacy of ivermectin, surmising that it should be used globally and systematically in the prevention and treatment of COVID. The Lancet is a weekly peer-reviewed general medicine journal. It is among the world's oldest and best-known general medical journals. The Lancet published on May 22, 2020, a fake study about hydroxychloroquine being toxic. The study was retracted on or about June 5, 2020. How many people knew that? Was it in the mainstream media? Hydroxychloroquine is effective. There are approximately 74 million children in the U.S. Under the age of 17, 354 died of COVID in the last 19 months in the U.S. How many people do you think under the age of 17 died of COVID in the last 19 months in New Jersey? 0. The percentage of deaths to child population is 0.000478378.4%, which is statistically 0, which means you're more likely to die from unintentional injuries, cancer, suicide, homicide, birth defects, heart disease, influenza, pneumonia, stroke, chronic lower respiratory diseases, benign neoplasms, stroke, or septicemia. A school-age kid has a greater likelihood of dying by lightning strike than by COVID. We don't mask for the flu. There's no need to mask for COVID. A child learns through expression. You're stealing that from them. Your submission of taking away their smiles is unacceptable. Our teachers' unions, departments of education, governor have called for this. The government is the abuser, and the schools are the enablers. Don't tell me that it's okay to steal a child's God-given right to breathe freely. There is no evidence, data, science, or common sense that supports this mandate. The government is not always right, and the Constitution is not suspended in an emergency. This is expanding influence by infiltration of government overreach. This is an intimidation instead of free choice. It's hard to find the truth these days. You actually have to look for it. The Department of Health, the CDC, the governor, all following anything but the science. This grant that is being held over your head to keep our kids masked, guess what? There's going to be another one and then another one. There's no warrant for it now. The switch can be turned on and off as the government sees fit, not the science, the government. I know that the new executive order has fines and penalties, but this is a test of how much freedom you will give up. This is a test. It's the fundamental rights of parents and guardians to make the decision of whether or not to send their children to school in a mass, not yours. I do not co-parent with you, nor do I co-parent with the government. You are supposed to be our leaders. You're here to lead, mold, and educate. A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen and act on the needs of others. One man can make a difference, and every man should try. Stand for something or fall for everything.
How you doing? Good to see everybody, lots of familiar faces. My name's Lou Signorino, 3 Red Bar Lane. If you don't mind, can I take this off? Is that okay? I don't know how to follow that last one up. That was great. I haven't been here really. I was watching live for a little while, and I'm not surprised. And this topic, just like everything else today, is so divisive. And I don't know where any of you really stand on the matter as of right now. So I don't want to come off as aggressive or insulting, but I do want you to know that I have 5 children. 3 of them were in the school system. They are no longer in the school system. I would love to put my children back. I have a 4th now that's a 5-year-old, so I should be putting them into this school system, but I choose not to because of the choices that have been made. We all have different opinions, right? We all make different decisions for our own children. But for somebody who's been involved or at least been very attentive to the geopolitical situations for the last 10, 15 years, this is not a surprise to me. And I know it's not a surprise to a lot of others that are watching. But it is disappointing to see how we all kind of fall apart. A lot of the points that were made about the probabilities of getting struck by lightning versus dying from COVID, especially as a child. The point about giving up our freedom, right? That's a huge deal because we see where the world is going right now. I don't know what kind of access or what kind of interest here people take. If you see the millions of people in different cities, each city, millions of people that are protesting the vaccines, the masks, right? Because it's a progressive thing where this is not going to end unless we all end it together. right? So we're all concerned. It does take somebody with courage to come up here and speak, to stand alone, especially with a topic that is not very popular, it's very divisive. Maybe some of you might think that I don't care. I don't support having mandatory masks for everybody in schools. I don't support having everybody mandating a vaccine for everybody. If they don't need it, or if they choose not to have it, they shouldn't have to, right? That's the beauty of America. That's what made us so different. For years, I've spoken to people about how, look at what people do in other countries versus here. Those differences are starting to sort of fade away, right? They're all fading away. But a lot of good points were made. But I also want to say the people who are for the mandatory masks, a lot of points were made. But if they were good, I would be, I would be in agreement. But some of the points that were made, the federal government, a lot of these, challenges, right, to these mandates that are being made. Some of them are being upheld, but if you're going to use the federal government as a litmus test, look at what's going on in Afghanistan, look at what's going on around the world, okay? You can't use them as a litmus test for what we need to do in West Milford. West Milford, to me, is a beautiful place that's different than a lot of other places because people stand up for their freedom. That's been a big deal to me throughout my tenure in politics, and it has been since before that, and it is now. Okay? Don't change to become more like New Yorkers or other places. We're from West Milford, we're strong, we love our freedom, we like our individualism, we like to take care of our families, we have strong family values. My wife grew up here. I'm glad I didn't have my wife come to talk because you don't want to hear what she has to say. And she's probably watching right now. Hi. Basically, I would say there's a plethora of things that are up for. There's plenty of other reasons why my children aren't in school. I might name some more. You know, you have this whole critical race theory, right, that's going around, that's being pushed on people. You have all this LGBTQ, I guess you would have instruction, right? You hear about, some people aren't interested in that stuff. The masturbating, teaching kids how to masturbate or anal sex, like, what does that have to do with academics? Now, I'm not saying, because I'm not familiar, my kids are still a little younger, so maybe they haven't gotten to that age where they would be susceptible to that sort of propaganda, but I would hope that West Milford, being where it is, that wouldn't happen here. And I would say thank you to everybody that came out, both sides, but for me, I stand with freedom, and I would hope that you would stand up and be a leader and not follow, because many have been discredited. So you can't use Fauci, he's been discredited, right? And certainly the federal government's been discredited, so thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Is
there anybody that hasn't spoken that would like to speak?
No, we're over the 30 minutes.
Then you should, and you need to come forward because I don't give anybody a second. People who haven't heard. We'll take the
Hi, my name is Laura, and I'm on 36 Mooresmere. Lytle. My son grew up here, and he loves this school. And some of you know him. And he's terrified because he can't breathe. And my daughter is also very, very, very compromised. And where she lives, everybody has lung issues. Everybody. And they're not masking them because they can't breathe. Mandating is not a law. It's not. And we can't fight it. And we need to stand together. If you want to be masked, mask. If you want a vaccine, get it. But why force people to do it? There's arguments on both sides. There's untruth on both sides. Make the decision to stand up for the ones that want to breathe. It's a choice. It's not about politics. It's not about your government. It's not about whether you hate Murphy or you don't. It's about what's right for you. These kids band together constantly, and they're not sick. Why force something before it even starts? Murphy has his reasons, I'm sure, and it's not for the public health. It doesn't help. It doesn't change anything. And we just need you guys to listen and maybe join the lawsuit. Maybe not. There are towns that fought this and won. That's all I'm going to say. But thank you.
I'll be 2 minutes. Two more speakers. I'll be 2 minutes.
Okay, is there anybody else that hasn't spoken? Oh, okay, I really do want to give everyone a chance to speak that has not spoken.
I'm going to touch this. I'm not afraid of your germs because I wash my hands. My name is Rebecca Nishala. I go by Becky. I'm at 63 Hearthstone. I am a homeschooling mom. I will say that my children have never been in the public schools here in West Milford. I'm not apologizing for that. I am a very proud homeschooling mom of 25 years. I hesitate to speak because a lot of people don't want to hear from homeschooling families in the town. I've been told many things, but my tax dollars are here. My family's here. And I have a special needs child who is in the Special Olympics, proudly representing West Milford, who recently left to a different town. I will leave that for other guesses, because the mask mandate and the policies that you guys mandate spills out to those kids for special needs. For example, basketball, drills and skills, the kids had to be outside, 10 feet apart, wearing masks. We're talking about kids who have medical issues. We're talking about kids who have neurological compromises. My son cannot wear a mask, and I refuse to put one on his face when he medically cannot wear one. He was not able to participate in that Special Olympics group. Another group, they wanted them to wear masks outside for track and field. I hope you're hearing me, because the high school wasn't requiring that for the typical students. However, they required it of their special needs students. Seems a little off to me, right? My son plays hockey. He will play hockey again this year. My other son has played on JV and varsity soccer. My kids are involved here. So I do care about you guys. I care about the children here. My children are not here. They're not trying to hurt your kids. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I will say that medical freedom is a very big thing for me, because I do have a vaccine-injured child. And I chose many years ago to keep my children home because of immune compromised issues. I chose to do what I needed to do, even though he has a right to public school free education. I lose a lot of money every year, to the system, but I still believe in the public school system. I stand behind you guys. I stand behind everybody on either side here. I will tell you that 2 years ago, well, about a year and a half ago, I was down in Trenton fighting for your kids. Because a lot of people don't realize this, but your medical freedom was being challenged by taking away the religious exemption for vaccines. So that means any child who had a religious exemption in the school, there were 26,000 in New York State alone, not New Jersey, that's even higher, the kids would no longer be able to have those religious exemptions. So here I, as a homeschooled parent, went down to Trenton, was knocking at the doors of these people, not for 1 hour, not for 2 hours. One day we were there from what? I think we were there, 10 to 14 hours, public testimony, everything. Because I was standing behind your rights as parents to choose what's best for your family, medically speaking and religiously speaking. That's the beauty of who we are as people. I will tell you that my son has not been allowed in public because he hasn't been able to wear a mask. I will tell you, I went to a store, I won't give you the name, but if you have a bullseye, it might give you a symbol there. But there was a woman going in, or excuse me, I was going in, they were coming out. Had nothing to do with us. She went off on us, called him a retard. When I told her he had a medical exemption not to have to wear a mask, and it wasn't something that she had to worry about, she was leaving, she called him a retard. To her face, to his face, to my face, to everybody around. And this is the kind of mentality that we are fostering, dare I say that word, we are fostering that mentality when we say yes to the mask for everybody. It's a parent's choice, it has to be. When there's risk involved, whether it be for masks, whether it be for vaccines, when there's a risk involved, there has to be choice. It's medically ethical. It goes with the Nuremberg Code. That's how vital this stuff is. And whether we agree or not isn't the issue. It's what's right for, what's right for your family, what's right for my family. It's not going to be the same thing. I will say that I do have 2 children in the medical field, and they both have been vaccinated. They both believe in vaccines. They're young adults who have their own opinions, as I have my own, and that's the beauty.
Thank you.
So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me speak again. I just wanted to say one thing. Parents used to have chickenpox parties. The reason for that was kids are not really affected by chickenpox at all. If you get it as an adult, you got a huge problem. So they would have chickenpox parties. This virus is not going away. Why do I say that? Because unlike smallpox, which doesn't have animal reservoir, this one, like most viruses do, which means it's going to be with us for a long, long time. It's better to let the kids get exposed, get it out of their system, just like chickenpox, so they don't have to deal with this as an adult where it could be fatal. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, at 9:04, I make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel appointments, resignations, current litigation matters, special education matters, negotiations, and matters of attorney-client privilege. And no action will be taken, so...
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.